What's up, everybody? You ever feel like you keep making the same mistakes every day? Well, I feel like that every single day too. So today I wanted to share with you guys some of the life lessons that I wish I had known sooner. I just turned 40 last month, so I've learned a couple of things my short time here on this planet. So I want to go over a couple of those with you today. The first one being, make mistakes early. Don't be afraid to make mistakes early. Go ahead and jump in the fire, because the sooner that you make these mistakes, the faster you will get ahead of the curve, because you will learn from those mistakes. There's only one way to learn something, and that's the hard way, right? Well, to truly learn something. I don't really think that there's like a true failure. More so, failure is just a learning experience, right? So the more you make mistakes, the more refined you will start to become in whatever thing you're doing that you're becoming better at, because you've learned from previous iterations. So don't be afraid to make mistakes early. Make them, make a lot, and progress forward. Number 2 is there are no shortcuts. A lot of times what I think a lot of us don't realize is that the fastest way to get somewhere is really by going the long way. A lot of times when especially with today's fast-paced world, right, we see a lot of the end result. It's very easy to jump to conclusions on, this person or this organization got this result because they got lucky, or, something went viral or something of that nature, when a lot of times we just see the tip of the iceberg, right? When really underneath the surface of the water, there's that huge chunk of ice that nobody else sees, which is all the extra work and dedication that went into forming that small result that we only see as an end result. So I think that a lot of times it's easy to just kind of overlook the fact that a lot of things that what certain people make look easy came from the result of putting in all the extra time to actually make it look easy, right? In life, there are very few things that are worth attaining that there is a true shortcut for, when really the shortest way there is by taking the long road or the hard way. It takes a lot of time to get really good at something. A lot of times the answer is very simple. It just takes time and energy and effort. There are no shortcuts. It reminds me of this experiment that a professor did between two groups of students. He took his class and he broke them up into two groups. And the project was, a group A would make the highest quality pot that they could, and group B would make as many pots as they could. And as it turns out, that group B, the one that was assigned with making as many pots as they could, ended up making the best quality pots, simply because they were able to learn through sheer volume. After they've done it so many times, they ended up creating the best pots. Whereas group A, they were so focused on making that pot right the first time, it just didn't really compare to the group that had done it so many times before. And I think this is a very good analogy kind of as to how a lot of today's educational institutions work, right? Which is kind of backwards. Whereas a lot of times in the school systems, they're designed to kind of discourage kids from making mistakes. Whereas, life doesn't really work that way, right? People make mistakes and people are allowed to work together. And a lot of times the best people in the marketplace are the ones who made the most mistakes, learned from those mistakes, refined the process, and was able to produce a superior product out of incurring those mistakes and out of refining that service iteration after iteration through experience, to come to an end result that is much superior to its starting point. Case in point, there are no shortcuts. A lot of times the fastest way to get there is just by taking the long road. Number 3 is discipline beats motivation 7 out of 7 days a week, no questions asked. Discipline is very powerful if you're able to implement it in a way that gets things done in an efficient manner, right? So I think one of the strongest ways to implement discipline is by finding a purpose. And I think a lot of people, they will prioritize pleasure over purpose, which then leads to failure in the true sense of it, right? But if you're able to find a purpose to fuel your discipline, you almost won't even need motivation. because motivation can come from many different sources, but the one common theme with any type of motivation is that it's temporary. That uplifting feeling from the motivation starts to fade, starts to wane after several hours or days or weeks, maybe even years, right? But if you can find a purpose, that will be much more powerful in fueling discipline. And discipline is by far and away more powerful than motivation. Gets a lot more work done, and that is what truly drives greatness than what any bit of motivation can. Number 4, time is precious. We all know that time is something that we can never get back. Time is your most valuable asset. We can always make more money, but you will never get yesterday back. And the thing about time is that it's not guaranteed either, because today is a gift, right? That's why they call it the present. Tomorrow, who knows what tomorrow holds? We might not even see tomorrow, right? So time is very precious, and the way we allocate time towards our professional life, our personal life, our relationships, everyone will have their own, different time allocation as they see fit. But I guess it's very important. Don't forget how precious time really is. So don't waste it. Number 5, don't sweat the small stuff. Okay, so I guess what I'm referring to this point, a lot of this comes from things that we want to say, right? Especially to other people, whether it be, out of emotion or some other reason. If we just take a step back and think, does it really make a difference over the grand scheme of things? Big picture wise, does it make a difference? If not, then just let it go. Just let it go. If it's not going to change the outcome, a lot of times it's best for not only the other person, but for your own mental health to just let it go. Don't sweat it, because a lot of times for the things that we cannot change, especially, there's almost no point in sweating it because it's not going to change the outcome. More easily said than done, right? I like to try to limit the amount of things that I worry about to the things that are within my control. Because if I cannot control it, then it's out of my hands. And if it's out of my hands, why stress about it? But again, easier said than done, right? Number 6, gratitude. It's very easy to forget how good we have it. Life could be a lot worse. Life is very cruel. Nature can be even more cruel. If we look at how animals live, right? So we have it very good in our creature comforts that we have in modern society. I'm very grateful for the things that I have, very grateful for the time that I have here on this planet. Because again, things could have been much worse, and I'm grateful for the things that I have. I think it's very healthy to just take a moment each day and just be grateful about everything that you have, because it's very easy to forget. Number 7, be present. Be present in the moment. We live in a very unique time today. Not too long ago, even when I was a kid, if you wanted to see your best friend, you would actually have to go down the street and, knock on their door and say, hey, can Ryan come out to play? Or hey, can, whoever come out to play? We didn't have just a phone we could pull out in our pocket where we could just, text message our friends to come out and play or do whatever. Even when internet was just first starting to come around, if you wanted to call your friend, if anybody would pick up the phone in the house, it would just ruin the internet connection, right? So that's kind of funny in the sense that when you think about it, picking up the phone to call somebody would ruin the internet connection on dial-up. But it was also kind of like a subliminal message that picking up the phone to call somebody, hearing their voice, that carried priority, right? Like that was priority. That type of human interaction, a voice-to-voice interaction, had a higher priority over whoever was on the internet. And I think that's really interesting because today it's so easy to get caught up on the internet that we forget the value of a face-to-face or even a voice-to-voice interaction when everyone's interacting through text messages, emojis, posting on, whatever social networks they're on. It's very easy to forget to be present. Especially in today's world where you go to any event, a concert or a social gathering, and people just have their phones out recording. They'll just be so consumed with the screen in front of them that there's actually people and an event going on around them. And I think a lot of that has been lost kind of in today's world where people are so consumed in their devices that they forget to be present with the people around them. Number 8 is surround yourself with positive people. I think this is very important because one of the fastest ways to change the way you feel is by changing your environment. changing not only where you are physically, but also the people you surround yourself with. The people you surround yourself with is very powerful. They can impact how you feel and ultimately where you end up in life. So be very cognizant of that and surround yourself with the right people. Anyways, those are just some of the lessons that I wish that I had known earlier, that I wish that I would still implement today on a daily basis. And hopefully that was able to help some of you. And, if it did, don't forget to click that like and subscribe. And I will see you guys later.